What's up, everybody? Nick and Michael back for another episode. Back true to form. We are hanging out together. We're going to do a little bit of content here. We have Alani New in the picture.
I mean, this feels old school now.
So here's the problem that we have. Alani New used to send us a box of just assorted Alani News.
48 Alani News every month.
I think they did it for exactly a year. And then
no, they did it for a weird
longer.
They did it for like a year and like 2 months.
So now we're technically not sponsored by Alani New, and we're still drinking it. But Michael, what's up, man? It's a little later in the day for us to be cutting an episode, so we'll see how the energy levels go.
It's that guy.
I've had one, so I'm good.
Yeah, and that. Yeah, but so breaking up in the episodes a little bit, we've been having a lot of interviews, a lot of fantastic interviews.
Yeah.
We just finished one an hour ago, and it was really great. More to come from that, but it was actually talking to somebody that dealt with a massive multi-location urgent care from a marketing standpoint. It was real cool to listen to because some of the challenges and things they worked on was very familiar to what we do all the time. So it's kind of cool to hear that.
Well, Michael thinks that we're going to be talking about these three little things that he's jotted down on a piece of paper, but I'm about to throw him a huge curveball because I pressed play before he could finish his thought.
He's like, here we go. I'm like, all right.
Here we go.
Okay.
I failed a thing yesterday, and it's been bothering me.
Is this a therapy session?
It's not. It's really a teaching and training moment, both for myself and how I think as a business owner, and I think how urgent care should think in general. And it's how to deal with failure, right? So I'm not going to go into the detail. It's too fresh. I'm still frustrated.
I can go into some of the detail.
I don't want you to.
Well, they need context.
I failed my written test for my instrument rating on my plane.
So backstory, you've been a pilot now for 2 years?
3
years? Been a pilot for 3 years from a VFR standpoint, which is visual.
Right.
And you've been working on IFR, the instrument side.
And it's a very difficult rating.
And yeah, the way you've explained it to me, it's like twice as hard as the visual. Very, very hard. And there's two parts, just like most things. There's a written test and a check ride, which is like the physical, like can you actually do the things?
Correct.
You've been doing all this training, taking all these tests, getting ready for it, and then you took your official test yesterday.
I did. What, the written?
The written part.
That's not the major.
Yeah.
That's the major minor.
But
now we're talking music.
But you even said, I'm not a detail person, and this was a challenge. And like I'm confident that you're going to be confident in the check ride because I feel like that part's more natural to you anyway.
It is. I know how to fly a plane.
Yeah, and it's like in the moment, right? You're good at that. So, but yeah, so you failed it. And it was not like a hard fail. I mean, it was.
I missed it by one question.
Yeah, so it's like a disappointing failure.
I would rather have just like gone down in a blaze of glory failing that thing than missing it by one question.
Yeah.
So the point isn't so much to talk about my instrument check or my instrument test that I did not pass, but really just to talk about failure. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because failure is a pass-through point. It's not a destination. It's a pass-through.
It's a learning opportunity.
Failure, as Yoda says, the best teacher is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, like you've always said, when you meet a goal, it's the most deflating thing ever because you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah. It can be a real challenge. Like goals are great, but it's the journey and the process that you go through that really develop you as a person and how you handle adversity. I was pretty bummed yesterday. Like it was pretty obvious that I wasn't having my best day.
You needed to go home.
But I couldn't. I had stuff to do. And I didn't plan for the failure.
No.
Who plans for that?
No. And right. I know going into it, you were nervous because it's just a big test, right? Yeah. And it's not a cheap test. And so, and it meant a lot of things if you failed it, like there are a lot of things you got to go back and do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were nervous about it, but you're also like, but I've taken the practice test and I always pass them.
I passed all. I took the practice test 4 times, passed every one of them.
Yeah. And so now it's kind of like that mode because you were telling me the details of the test. Like there's 3,000 potential questions, but there's only 60 they give you.
Right.
A 70 is a pass. And so what was your score?
65. So I got 39 out of the 40 I had to get. So there's 60 questions.
And so you missed that one. Okay.
I did. And I can make a ton of excuses for it. I've got some. I do. and they're totally justifiable reasons. But at the end of the day, the result doesn't change.
Right.
Right. And so that's what a few things that I want to talk about is, one, I didn't plan for the failure. I scheduled out the rest of my day like it was going to be just the best day ever.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I didn't plan for how I would feel, emotional, frustration, blame.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot that goes into failure that I don't know if it's just been a while since I've failed. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Or at least I felt it. You know what I mean?
Or
I feel like a failure at home all the time when I'm trying to raise a teenage son, but that's another story.
This is a therapy session. But no, I get that, because especially it's something that you've been preparing for, like you're very knowledgeable about.
Right.
And then it's like a slap in the face. Sorry, you didn't pass.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have to take a step back and you say, well, am I supposed to be doing this anyway? You know,
Right.
Like your mind starts running.
Right. But let me ask you a question. Is there any doubt in your mind on whether or not I'm going to keep doing this or if I'm going to quit?
You're going to keep going.
So what does that make it? A pass-through point.
Yeah.
Right? It's a speed bump. It's a mark on a path toward the ultimate goal, which is, to get my instrument and to become a better pilot and to become more proficient and to go and do more things and visit more of my awesome clients and visit more of you guys that are listening, get to go out and hang out at urgent cares. And the ultimate goal is just to go travel and do things, and then create business around it as well, for sure. But where are you in your life where you've had failure that it's caused you to just park or to quit or to step away?
I mean, I can imagine, for like the urgent care owners that are listening right now, there are probably some failure points in your business that you're fed up with. Mm-hmm. And that may be as simple as staff turnover or revenue numbers aren't good.
Right.
It's a fight. And some people just throw in the towel, right? Like they're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. And I mean, I've felt that way in business a couple of times, or at least toward certain things that we're trying to accomplish in business, where you get to a point where you feel like you're hitting a brick wall and you can't push through it. But again, most people that quit just before their breakthrough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let me give just full transparency. We just signed a really big account. Right?
We did.
Super excited about that. But we had been going through a season where we were just having we were having lots of good conversations with urgent care owners, lots of people who felt like they needed what we had. And we just have a hard time getting people to just pull the trigger with us.
Yes.
Right. And so I was getting to the point where, not where I was ready to quit, but just totally change strategies. I was like, what we're doing isn't working. Right.
Yeah. Or are we in a spot where there's a reason why we don't have a lot of competitors?
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know what? We could have quit, but then that breakthrough came through, right? So the breakthrough came through.
The breakthrough broke through.
There you go. And it re-energized, remotivated, got all the team excited again. And it was just what we needed to come and continue what we're doing and know that we're doing the right thing.
And it was really funny because I would have said a year. Timing is always an amazing thing. I think we can all agree to that, right? Timing, where I don't care if you're Christian or not, God's timing is an amazing thing to watch sometimes. And just that instance with that particular new client that came on.
Right.
If they came on a year ago, no bueno. That would have been rough.
That's a good point. We wouldn't have matured as a company to the point where we've been able to serve them at that level.
We wouldn't be able to produce the numbers that we produce now.
Right.
And it would have been a tougher spin.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, like, if that happened a year ago, that would have been rough. If it happened,
and we had a failure that was kind of out of our control that caused us to go get better.
Yeah, we did. We never
that failure with a large dental practice. I don't even mind saying that it was a large dental practice. It was a failure. I don't think it was completely our fault, but the failure was nonetheless. It was our failure. And with that, we had to really assess how are our processes? How are our SOPs? What happens if somebody quits? What happens if we do this, that, and the other, right? Like we were refined by the fire, baby. That's the way to say it, right?
Yes.
So going through that adversity in business that really hurt, caused us to be in a position where when this huge client came into us, we were able to say yes confidently and already execute.
Yeah, I mean,
they're already up in the 200 patients, I think, right?
Yeah, so, well, no, I think they're closer to 300 or 400.
I mean, I haven't looked today.
It's amazing, but yeah, it is. It's so amazing because the timing is so fun to me because I really do believe because they literally, like you said, came on. We were at a point like, my goodness, because summers are slow for urgent cares, summers are slow for marketing agencies.
That's right,
good or bad, right? But the reality is, we don't sign a whole lot of new accounts in the summer. We sign them in September, October.
That's right.
And then it chills out, and then we start signing again at the new year.
In the spring, right.
So so we knew summers are slow. This particular summer was remarkably slow.
Right.
And it was to a point like this doesn't, like we're keeping our clients doing all the right things, but acquisition wasn't the thing for us for a hot minute. I even talked to a fellow local competitor yesterday, and he even said, he was like, yeah, summer was rough this time.
It was a very interesting summer. I
don't know why.
I think a lot of it had to do with just there's an election coming up, and you have a current sitting president that doesn't seem to be very visible, and just new people coming in, maybe the uncertainty of that. But going back to the failure piece, what I'm learning now, like, I had a bad day yesterday, but I'm fine today. Like, I'm okay. I'm ready to get back after it. I'm ready to go retake the test here in the next week or so. I'm going to study up. I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to find out what I missed, and I'm going to go improve, and I'm going to be better. What I'm learning, though, is Nick failing yesterday is a very different reaction than Nick failing 3 to 5 years ago, which is very different than the way I would fail when I was in college or something like that. The more you fail, the better you get at evaluating the problem, and the better you get at navigating the adversity, and the better you get at attaining your goals. There is no reaching your goals without going through failure. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
I'm trying to think through because I've known you now for 5.5 years.
You've seen some crap.
Yeah, it hasn't been. Yeah, there's been some stuff.
There's been some crap. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
But there has been.
There's been some crap. Yeah. There's been, I've seen some of your anger come out, but it's very rare, if that. But I've seen it. It's pretty rare. But yeah, yesterday was just more, I watched you just beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. And then I saw you, I'll just say this, then I saw you look for things to beat up.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it's okay. You can.
I was like, why am I answering this question right now?
I don't even know. I don't even know what you're talking about. So.
Then I followed it with, you should probably go home.
Probably.
But no, yeah, I think, but overall, like, it came on hot for a second and it just dipped right off real quick. And today I wouldn't even notice. Like, it wouldn't even be a thing. So, and then we were making jokes. Yesterday we had a huge wreck on the interstate system near our office.
Yesterday was a rough day.
Huge wreck. We literally, Nick and I don't know what our coworkers, like what everybody else did, but we got in the lane of traffic and said nope, and we both turned around and came back to the office and sat for 30, 40 minutes because the traffic had poured over from this 10-car pileup on 459. So I didn't even go home until like 7. It was a day. But yeah, it was a long day.
It was.
So going back to the failure, getting to the adversities of it, right? But it makes you better. Thinking about urgent cares and some of the failures they face, I think right now is like we're just learning how what they used to do doesn't work anymore. Like the idea of I'm going to have amazing numbers and make good profits off each patient that comes in the door, it's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. So now they're facing a new failure that's kind of coming in a slow but surely way. And it's hitting that moment. Like, do these urgent cares say, I'm out, I'm done with this, I'm going to shut my doors, I don't care. Like, we even, like, listening to that one guy at Symposium, I'll just shut all my doors at once and see if the insurance guy cares, the insurance payer cares anymore out of just frustration. But, like, yeah, the failure side is, I feel for you people because outside of patient volume, your staff turnover is incredible. And when you have somebody turn over in staff, it's like, I have to hit the reset button. I got to go find somebody. I got to get them trained up. And then they're just going to leave again. And I think that mindset is what sets you up for worse failure, because then you get to the point where you just don't want to fight it anymore.
Well, and so those are the two paths, right?
Yeah.
So if you know that's going to happen, that's going to be failure, that's going to be challenge, that's going to be, just the quicksand that you're going to be standing in, right? Then understanding that, okay, I'm going to have employee turnover. Well, so how can I gamify this? Like, if I know that's going to happen, how can I use that adversity to make me better? Right? If I know that we're going to have a challenge of getting paid by the payer, right? So the insurance companies, then how can I gamify that? And like, how can I maintain this excellent level of care and find a way to run more lean or cut cost or, those different kinds of things without taking away any of the care, without taking away the ability to generate new patients. Oftentimes people will cut their marketing first, and I'm like, you're cutting your throat, but okay. But how do I run more lean? We became incredibly lean during the COVID time because we had to figure it out. Like, we just weren't creating the same amount of income at the time for obvious reasons. And it caused us to get better.
And it created the situation where we weren't finding new clients for a moment. I remember because we went completely remote for a hot minute because we couldn't go back to the office. And then no one wanted to talk to us. And then we started getting those emails from clients saying, we need to pause. We need to pause. We need to pause. And, we got them convinced to pause and not cancel because nobody knew what to do. Right. And that's a dark spot to be in because you're like, I don't know what the future looks like. We were all told this will blow over in 2 months. We'll be fine. And here we are 6 months in.
Right.
And it's not going away. That was crazy time. Yeah.
Well, you have to learn through the adversity. You have to propel yourself through the failures. They're going to come. They're going to happen. It's just a part of running a business. It's part of pursuing something. I saw this big sign, and everybody's heard of the phrase, the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, yeah.
And this giant sign, they had changed the pursuit of happiness to the pursuit is happiness. And they had just shifted the focus on the goal to the pursuit, to the journey. And, dialing it back in and then we'll wrap up is just, yes, I had failed that test yesterday, but the fact of the matter is I'm going to be better at it the next time I go. I'm going to answer the questions better. I'm going to understand it better. I'm going to be further along because of the failure. It's frustrating. It's a mark that I don't want. Like I will forever have to tell people I had to take that test twice. Right. And that
hopefully not 3 times, right?
Well, let's just say if I ever wanted to go into FAA aviation career.
Do you have to disclose that?
I have to. Well, they'll know. It's like the FAA has it. And they'll ask you questions about why. Now, the good news is that's a commonly failed test that I wasn't aware of. I didn't do enough research to find out that it's the most failed test in FAA.
That's so fascinating. I wonder if
it's a hard test.
I wonder if it's intentional or just the design of the questions don't reflect reality.
The most likely place for you to die is in instrument meteorological conditions. So I expect they're asking very, very, very hard questions. I don't know. For me, the test asks trick questions, and I don't think there's any trick questions in an airplane.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to do problem solving, but that doesn't mean it translates into trick questions. Gotcha. Nonetheless, I just kind of wanted to share that. I think it was on my chest, and I know that we have clinics out there that are experiencing challenges with, pay. They're experiencing challenges with competition. Yeah. They feel like maybe they're failing in the game, and I'm just wanting to encourage you that you're refined by the fire. So that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I even think about some of the failures I've had, like in business stuff. Like, I've shut down an LLC before because we got to a point. I was a partner in another company that was a dumpster fire. And so, yeah, but I learned a lot from it, right? Like where I've come from to where I am here now, like things got brought along with it, right? But I do remember you do you learn some hard lessons in failure that you don't want to learn. But once you come out, you're like, gosh, I'll never make that mistake again.
Right.
And then you learn and you grow from it. I remember having.
Well, you can grow from it. You have an opportunity to learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can either choose to learn from it or choose to hate it.
I mean, people that come out on the other side of a divorce either find the love of their life for their next marriage or they're on their fifth.
That's real, isn't it?
It's a true thing.
That is so.
You either learn from the adversity or you repeat it.
It's true because you rarely find. Think about that.
Sorry, I didn't mean that to be rude.
Yeah, because you find if you find somebody's divorced, they probably got remarried once or they're on their fourth or fifth, and there's like no in
very
between.
rarely there's an in between.
There's never just two.
Right.
It just keeps going.
Yeah,
because they didn't learn their lesson.
And by the way, if you're divorced, we're not judging.
No,
we're just telling you that that's a thing.
I never thought about that, but that's the people I know. There's no. I'm on my second one. It's more like I'm on my fourth or fifth or my only one. It's so weird, huh? But yeah, I was thinking back to some failures that I had in previous company stuff, and one of them was we had. I'll never forget this because this was kind of brutal. We were working with a super large, Church in Highlands. We had done some work for Church in Highlands, and we had built an internal project or site for them. And this is probably when I was 25, 26. And I was in charge of it, of course. And my other partner was writing the code for it and challenges there. But my main contact, David, love the guy. He will never talk to me again probably. But he was my main contact, and he was very high level. Like he had high expectations, high benchmarks. Way beyond my years. And the project was not on time, not on schedule. And the guy that I was working with that was supposed to write the code was super lazy about the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even know why. But either way, we're approaching a deadline. And there were 5 or 10 major things that weren't done yet. And I didn't want to disappoint David. And so when he asked 2 days prior or a day prior, are we good to launch? I said, yeah, I think so. So then I go back to my partner and said, we're good to launch, right? He's like, absolutely not.
Oh.
I'm like, why not? And then it just kind of went on and on. And so then I had to go back and say, David, I apologize. Like, we're not going to make this deadline at all. And so he roasted me we had all this stuff prepared for launch, and I had to go back to my people and tell them it's not happening. It killed me. I remember sitting, because it was like after 5 on a Thursday, and I was sitting at a Sonic that's like 10 minutes from where I worked. I'm just looking at my phone, like, oh Lord, I got roasted, and then followed up with phone calls and all the crap. But I'll never forget that. So what I learned was, that was the moment. It's a whole lot better to tell a person the reality of it and then just try to sugarcoat it and hope it blows over. So that was my moment of failure that changed a lot of things. And I guess that was probably 10 years ago now. But that was brutal. And I'll never forget that. And like I said, David probably won't talk to me again. Super nice guy. He's now a pastor at a church in like Chattanooga. I have all the respect for him, but yeah, that whole situation was just brutal because I was just not willing to. I was more in tune to say I want to make sure he's happy with me and not actually give him the reality check. Right. And and you know me now, like I just tell you the reality of it as is because I don't want to deal with the other side.
And I don't blame you for that. You know, it's funny. Failure will give you what most people lack, and that's perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a little perspective with that.
Because I find that I teach a lot of our younger people here the power of no. Just say no flat.
I think I was telling somebody, when was that, where I said the best thing you can do is protect your no.
Yeah. What was that?
Or protect your yes.
Protect your yes, yeah.
Like no is the most powerful word in your vocabulary when done properly. Protect your yes.
Yeah, because I have one of our employees, they had an issue where they were like, how do I say no to this? And like, you just say it and don't apologize for it or add excuses around it. Just say, yeah, we don't do that.
As my dad used to tell me, no is a complete sentence.
It is. And whew, some people don't know that. But all right, so that was our therapy session on both sides. But
I just want to encourage you. There's probably a few people in here that are dealing with adversity, or maybe you've had a failure at one of your clinics, or maybe you had a failure of leadership. I've had that happen before to me, and or I was the failure in the leadership role. That happens. You got to own it. You got to learn from it. You got to move forward. But listen, I know y'all are out there making huge impacts in your community and with your team. So embrace the suck, as you say. Fight through the failure. Success is on the other side of it. Don't quit. Keep going.
Yep.
Rock and roll. We'll get our instrument rating together.
There you go. We'll have a celebration episode.
There you go. We'll do a celebration episode. Y'all have a great week. Thanks for listening in. See ya.